Here with Tim Grove, head women's basketball coach. So just kind of first chance we've had to really talk about the fifth straight UMAC title. So just kind of talk about what that you guys accomplishing that and what that kind of means to you guys as a team.
Yeah, it means a lot. That's something that's we have a goal of a conference championship every year. Some years it's maybe a little bit more attainable than others. But every year I've been here and every year I will be here, that will be our goal, is to win the UMAC championship. And thankfully, the last 5 years we've been able to get that done. Now, I think there were some doubters going into this year, and for a lot of reasons. We lost some awfully good seniors last year. Both Emily and Kelsey did just a great job for us, and in a lot of respects. And so it was going to have to be someone else's turn to step up. And I think it took us a little while to learn how to play without them and kind of take on these new roles that we have. Not only relying on new players, but also relying on players playing new positions. You think of Kayla moving over to the point guard. She's done a great job for us this year, and she sacrificed a lot in that move. But by doing that, we were able to be as good as we could be, and I think that was a key. And that was certainly a goal that the team had, that they wanted this fifth one in a row, and they went out and they earned it.
And you talked a little bit about the doubters. Obviously, you guys were picked third in the conference. Preseason polls, they don't always mean the most. But did that maybe relieve some pressure from you guys? Maybe the girls themselves. Not that they didn't have that target on the back that they seem to always have, but
yeah, it could have. And I think we maybe talked about this at the time too. That's not something that we as a team talked about, or certainly from a coaching standpoint, we didn't. They maybe had those conversations, and it wouldn't surprise me if they did. They are very prideful. They're a prideful group, and so yeah, it wouldn't surprise me at all when those polls came out that they got together and said, okay, look at this. This is what everyone else thinks of us, and we can prove them wrong. Now, the other side of it is we didn't give them much in our non-conference schedule to really think very highly of us at that point. I mean, we weren't scoring very well. We weren't defending very well. It was very much a learning process for us, and we needed all of those 14 games to get ready for conference play. And thankfully we were able to put some things together, and we've had some individuals play very, very well. And we played some very good team basketball, so that's been a key for us.
Maybe you talked a little bit about trying to make that adjustment, and obviously, Kayla moving over to the point guard. Last year you did have Emily, who was obviously your leading scorer, and everyone kind of looked to her to get the points. And now coming into this year, you figured obviously you had Wyckoff back, you had Kramer, but now she's playing point guard, maybe a little tougher to score. But you now have seen the emergence of Emily Elk step up. Corey Becker will give you some good point totals, and then obviously the freshman Tori Holt. So just kind of talk about maybe how those guys have stepped up, and like you said, going through the non-conference season, maybe leading up to that stuff in the conference.
Right. Yeah, it's been a total team effort like it always is, but we have had some very good individual performances along the way. You mentioned Kendra Wyckoff. She's someone that we knew was going to be a solid player. I mean, she had proven it. She was co-freshman of the year. She was first team all-league last year. So we knew what we were going to have in her. But I think with the move from Kayla, who was freshman of the year at a two position, a wing spot for us last year. Well, now, Kayla, guess what? You're going to be playing point for us, because that's where we need you. And so she made some sacrifices in terms of shots and scoring, and took on some of the other roles for us that have been crucial roles. And you mentioned Corey Becker. She's really stepped up. She's had some big games. Her game at Scholastica a couple weekends ago was just huge for us. And she's always been solid defensively, and she came in with the goal to be one of the best defenders in the league, and she's done a very good job at that. And now her offensive game is stepping up. Emily Alk is someone that I don't know if we've seen someone in league play improve statistically from one year to the next as she has. I'm not sure what she averaged last year in league play, maybe something like 4 or 5 points a game like that. This year she's up around 12, 13, 14. And so to see that emergence, and that's something that she wanted. She talked to me earlier in the season about, I want to be someone that you can count on, and she's proven that. So and of course with Abby Froggatt, she's a stat stuffer, but on the things that aren't always recognized. She can change a game without even taking a shot. And what she does for us defensively and rebounding and blocking shots, and just being a real leader for us on the floor has been huge. And you talked about the emergence also of Tori Holt, a freshman that we thought could be pretty good for us, but I think she's exceeded our expectations this early, and she's still got a long way to go. I mean, as good as she is now, she's really got a lot of untapped potential there yet, and sky's the limit for her.
And she is obviously the freshman that kind of came in and makes the biggest impact that people can see, via the stat sheet or, kind of if they do show up to games. What other maybe freshmen around the UMAC have kind of surprised you or kind of been noteworthy?
Well, there has been some good ones. We just had voting this week for all that stuff, so we had a chance to go back and look at, stats. And if I was going to name one or two, that means I would leave 5 or 6 out that are very worthy. Every team has had an impactful freshman. But that, I think, is what's kind of unique and special about this league as well, that freshmen can make a difference. If you've got 6 or 7 up for freshman of the year, the coaches felt are worthy of that, and I certainly feel that Tori is worthy of something like that, but I'd certainly put her up for that. That means that they're making an impact on the floor. And I think that's pretty neat that they can come in and do those things. And not just those freshmen. I think there's others, kind of unsung heroes on our team as well. Jordan Zickermans and Maya Coombs and Brooke Deckers that come in and they just do whatever is asked of them. They'll come in and defend, and they'll come in and do whatever they need to be done that needs to be done in order to help the team.
You guys take on Martin Luther, a team you just saw, a team that you've beaten twice this season, but they're always tough to play. They always make it tough for the opponent. During their season, they knocked off some of the Scholasticas in the Northwestern, stuff like that, battle with them. Just kind of talk about what they bring to the table and what you can kind of look for tomorrow night.
Yeah, they're really good. You just mentioned we just played them on Saturday. Both of our games against them have been very good basketball games. They're very well coached. They play extremely hard, and you know what you're going to get from them in terms of their work ethic.
Yep.
They mix things up well defensively. They're very scrappy. They're hard nosed. They're really nice kids too. I mean, they play their tails off but very sportsmanlike, and so it's going to be a fun game for us. One of the most difficult things to do in sports, is to beat a good team 3 times, and here we have, a 10-4 league team who is the 4 seed coming in. I mean, that's crazy. That shows how good a team they are. And we certainly don't take anything for granted. We were in this spot last year and came in and Scholastica upset us. And so we have that in the back of our mind as well. And we know how good Martin Luther is. They're a fantastic basketball team. And in a one-and-done situation where we are now, it's win or go home. Anything can happen in a 40-minute game. So we're just going to take things as we always do, one possession at a time offensively, one possession at a time defensively, and just play as well as we can and as hard as we can and hope that we're on the right side of the scoreboard at the end of the night.
The final question for you, you talked about that one and done, and for the UMAC, it is one and done. You're probably, no one in this conference is probably getting an at-large bid this season. It has happened in the past. So that kind of that desperation that kind of goes into the tournament play now that you reach the end of February and into March if you guys play on Saturday. So when people look up at the clock on Wednesday and you talked about Martin Luther sticking with you and it was close throughout 30-35 minutes of the last Saturday or Friday when you guys took them on. What is it that has to come from your players to look up at that clock and say, hey, we're either down by a few or we're up by a few in these final 8 minutes? What do we have to do to make sure we cement this victory?
Yeah, the nice thing is that we've looked at each and every game as a conference championship game. That's just the way we approach our conference season, because you never know which game it is along the way that really solidifies it for you. I mean, for us, it could have been our first game. It turned out to be our game at Bethany on Friday night that really clinched the crown for us.
Yep.
But if we hadn't done our job before that, we wouldn't have had that opportunity. So I think that this crew has done a really good job of literally taking it one game at a time and looking at each game as a conference championship game. And so I think mentally we've been in those situations. So yes, this is a one and done, scenario that we're in now, but it's not going to be too much different than the way that we've been looking at each and every game that we play. Because we do take it, that literally, and we do try to win each and every game that way. And so if we just approach it with that mentality, not putting any extra pressure on us, it's a game.
Yep.
And if we just go about it with that attitude and just get out there and play hard, then whatever happens is going to happen, and we'll certainly deal with it.
All right, well, thank you. Good luck tomorrow.
Appreciate it. Thanks.